Okay, we're in session now, so it's being recorded. So, Ryan, do you want to start it off in terms of some questions or what you want to see?
Yeah, so we can start off with just some questions from the folks that we have on the phone today. I know I sent you a list of questions as well. We can kind
Mhm.
of go over those too after we're done with the initial questions.
Okay, so do you want us to review those questions first, or are people bringing some forward? Sorry.
Yeah, I guess we could go
Hey,
over those first, but Amy, if you have anything, just go ahead and start.
yeah, this is Amy. And I don't know if I necessarily have specific questions, but I wondered if you could touch on, I guess my top priority items today would be kind of householding. If you can kind of remind me if there was any way to like group or link clients within your software. Um, and then also like a client review piece of it, if there is um, how that functionality works, like if we have a review date and then we want that frequency to be annually, if that automatically populates a next review date. And then also kind of some of our event tracking. We do like a tailgate and a golf outing and a client appreciation that customers are like invited to, and how we can track or get those clients grouped together
Okay,
is kind of
so
what I would like to see touched on a little bit.
hi Amy, my name's Ken. So the first thing is in terms of grouping or segmentation, it won't surprise you to hear ACT easily supports that both dynamically
Mhm.
and statically. And what I mean by that is that you can organize groups of contacts based on something that has happened in the past. So let's say these 50 people attended a particular workshop. Well, there's no conditions that are going to change that would make them not have attended over time. So that's called a static group. It's like putting socks in a sock drawer. You can also
Okay.
create dynamic groups based on rules. So let's say you want to create a group of customers within a specific geographic area that have a specific data type in a particular field, or have the presence of data in a particular field. Like I only want to deal with customers from New Jersey that have ID status equals something, or have an email address, something like whatever combinations you have. It's easy to build a query into that, and then as people get added to the database, they get dynamically populated and depopulated from those groups. So that kind of
Okay.
segmentation is been with ACT and has been dynamic for 15 years at least. So
So
that's a pretty mature
we could
product.
say, if we have a field that is, say, an A client,
Mhm.
we could build that in that all A clients would get invited to like the client appreciation.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
yeah, if you're looking to build campaigns around these groups, which all of them are built around because that's the way ACT was designed, then you just create a group that says, all the contacts that have an email address that have A in this particular field, and say haven't opted out or anything like that. Whatever sort of rules you want to make get populated into this group, and then they will be included in a campaign for that particular event.
So can we, so the static group, go
The
back to
static,
that just real
yeah, the
quick.
static groups are very, very simple. It's, basically
I picked
just
to
like,
put them in that
yeah,
group.
you're just cherry picking them. It's
Yeah.
like putting socks
Yeah.
in a
Okay.
store. There's no rules. There's nothing that's going to change over time. But let's say that you created a group called A clients, new A clients. Okay,
Hmm.
so you can create a group that has a create date within the last 6 months, that has A in that, has customer under ID status, and if any contact that meets that condition will be added into that group. And then,
Okay.
as time goes by, let's say, the 6 months lapsed, then the people that are no longer new group or new customers would get depopulated. So that's how it
Yeah.
can work dynamically on the inbound and the outbound.
Now,
Okay.
the other thing, Amy, you mentioned that you have some events. We also have something called link to events. And so let's say you're organizing a golf tournament 3 months down the road or 4 months. You can send
Hmm.
out an email with link to events. And then if they sign up, they automatically get populated into that group in ACT. And then
Oh,
from
okay.
there, you can do a mass email to all of them. Here's your registration information, blah, blah, all the other stuff, follow-ups with that.
You can
Okay.
also create forms and sign-up pages and things like that. So even all the digital spaces that you manage, you can actually publish this form. So what's nice about that, as Vic said, is that if you're doing a direct email, then you're not expecting this to create any new leads for you because they're already in your database. But if you're publishing it on
Sure.
social media, on the website, or anything like that, then they're going to complete it, and they will, if they're not in your database, they will be added to your database, added to the group. And then one of the features of Link to Events is that you can schedule follow-ups and reminders and things like that to optimize the turnout of your event. And then everyone that signs up, you can set it up so that they will only get the join link, okay, after they sign up, so that you will know precisely what kind of attendance to expect as you are preparing for your event. So it's a
Okay.
very powerful tool. What we like is, especially for financial planners, single professionals, things like that, that are trying to organize these events. Often they'll have things like lunch and learns, and they'll send out these invites, but they basically have two types of hosting options. Like right now, we're in a GoToMeeting. Okay, now what's specific about GoToMeeting is that you guys all got the invite. Now, if we just distribute out the join link like we did with you, okay, then we have no idea who's going to show up. We can invite 100 people, 10 might show up. However, the service that actually allows you to know exactly how many people are signing up, and you'll know your anticipated attendance, is called a webinar service. And that webinar service is typically 10 times as expensive as the meeting service that we're in right now. So Link to Events basically bridges the gap, the feature gap between those two. Plus, it adds that extra element of organizing and integrating inside of ACT. So it's a very powerful tool. We have, 15, 20 webinars a year, and we have fantastic turnout with them, and we know precisely how many people have registered, and we typically
Sure.
calculate in a 30% attrition rate. So it's normally spot on. So it's a good predictor, and it's a good lead generator as well.
Okay.
Sorry if that was a bit of an over explanation, but it seemed to be on point. So,
No. Yeah. No, that's okay.
and
As far as like the householding, like how, I guess what I'm looking for is, you have a couple that are clients, but then they also have adult children that are clients as well, and they have children. How do you handle kind of that, being able to see how all of those contacts relate to each other?
so there's two different ways of doing that, and it really depends on the choices are made by what type of industry people are in. So I just mentioned the financial planning sector. What's really popular with that sector is that they basically repurpose the company feature as households, and that's
Okay.
literally what it's called. And the benefit of that is that you can treat every person in a household as an individual contact and have individual engagements with them, but they aggregate under a company slash household, so that all the activities, all the notes, all the histories will aggregate together at the household level. So you can look at everyone individually, and you can look at everyone collectively within that.
Sure.
And that dynamic linking really is powerful, because you're able to, on any particular, let's say you're dealing with the husband, at the contact level, you can see absolutely every engagement history you have with that contact. But if you flip over to the household, you get to see everyone that you've had with the family. And that's
Sure.
really a nice, quick, easy way to toggle. Now, I think you also mentioned about about having like recurring activities and things like that, where maybe there's these annual reviews. The calendar feature of ACT is actually something that longtime ACT users are most in love with, because it's a very, very powerful calendar feature, or a set of calendar features, and the recurrence feature is amongst the most popular. So you can set recurrences to be, once a month, once a week, once every other week, the first Monday of every month, that kind of thing, annually, whatever sequence makes sense. And it will always recur reliably on those dates. So if you have a recurrence, and let's say you have an annual review and you clear that, it will automatically schedule for that same time next year.
Okay. So then does it have a spot in the actual contact record that it would say last review date, next review date, or is it just based off of the calendar, or you just find that information in the calendar?
Oh God, no. You actually, you don't want to keep that information in the calendar. One, because it's an unholy mess that includes, everyone's appointments. But
sure.
What you want to do is in the contact section, okay, if you're looking at a particular contact, there's a tab called History, and you click on that and it will show you all your engagements with that contact. Now, if it includes things like emails and other types of histories you're not interested in, it's very, very easy to filter by a particular type. So let's say you want to go by meetings or something like that. You can very quickly filter and drill down to that. So it's quite easy and quite powerful.
Okay. I think that covered my kind of top hot topics.
Good. And I've gone, I think, 10 minutes without coughing, which is a new personal best of the last week. Any other questions? Oh, come on, Ryan. You're not going to let me off that easy, are you?
Ken, I sent you some there. Some notes that Ryan had sent through. Pipelines and prospects.
So pipelines and prospects, if we're talking about the opportunity table, that, ACT basically invented the pipeline. So, from the early days, it's a very, very mature feature in ACT. I'm not 100% certain about, how you would use it in your particular business case, but obviously from a pipeline management standpoint, you've got completely customizable processes and stages that allow you to kind of separate different business types, okay, and filter them down that way. You've got all the kinds of weighted probabilities. You've got the ability to track time and stage, whatever you like. There's, and then you can even, when